Hello, everybody. We are the Geeks and Degenerates. I am Enzo. This is my forever co-host, Jump. Today, we continue our Wolverine and Deadpool trend with the Wolverine from 2013. Uh, First roundabout question is: were you excited for this one after the first Wolverine movie, first standalone movie?
No, I didn't even know that it came out. I didn't watch it in theaters, man.
Me, same here.
I had zero information about it, and I think it kind of went under everybody else's radar.
Yeah.
Um, but, but when I did watch it, when I finally sat down, watched it fully, I was like, damn,
Yeah.
this movie's not bad. Like legit, it is not bad. I do like it. Like for a lot of people who say, "Oh, it flopped in box office" or some shit like that, or "Oh, nobody really remembers this one." I was like, "Why not?
I mean,
This is actually a solid fucking Wolverine with samurais movie."
yeah. I mean, I think the reason that it flopped is because people were like, not another one. Please, God, why do you torture us like this? But yeah, I remember watching this like months after the fact, and I was like, wow, that's a pretty good movie. Like for me, it kind of falls apart at the last act because you're like, oh, we're back to big CGI battles. I thought we were doing things differently now. Oh
Yeah.
well. But like for the most part, I do like this movie. Like I like the fact that it literally follows Wolverine after the events of Last Stand, and you're like, all right, he's a damaged man. I mean, he's always been a damaged man, but he has more reason now to be damaged.
Yeah.
And this one's directed by James Mangold. This is his first Wolverine movie. Though he was kind of restricted because it is still PG-13. But yeah, like it doesn't feel like it. Like at the beginning with Wolverine and
Stabs the arrow into that hunter.
oh no, the scene in Nagasaki, we were like, Jesus Christ Almighty.
Yeah, that shit was cool. Like that's a great opening scene to Wolverine, knowing the fact that Wolverine, okay, the act of Nagasaki and Hiroshima, not cool, not cool. But in continuity of the story, I was like, oh, okay, Wolverine got captured, and he was there when the fucking bombs dropped.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit. Yeah, and he covers one soldier.
Yeah.
Within the well, he's all burnt up from the absolute horrible blast. I was just like, all right. And then the soldier becomes rich, and was like, hey, I had my step granddaughter, look for you for a whole year, and I want you to come over because I'm dying, and I want you to say goodbye.
Yeah. That's not the real reason. He just wants Wolverine's healing factor. Yeah. And you meet other people that are well respected Japanese actors like Hiroyuki Sanada. You're like, holy shit, I remember you from The Last Samurai because it came out in 2013. You're like, that's the last movie I've ever saw you in.
I am not used to seeing Hiroyuki Sanada
Without face. Yeah. And you're like, oh shit. And then you see Tao, the granddaughter, Tao Makoto. I hope I'm not butchering your name. The granddaughter is Rila Fukushima. Oh God, I should stop doing this. But yeah, I hate butchering names, man. I feel bad. But yeah, you can tell it's not everything is well within the clan because of course the dad is abusive, and you're like, God, the story there. And then the grandfather is like, I kind of want your healing. Can you please give it to me? And Wolverine's like, no. Why?
You know what I have.
Yeah.
And the grandfather's just like, you're a fraud, Spider-Man. That's exactly how this scene went down. I was like, if you've seen Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man 2, this is pretty much the exact same scene.
Yeah. You're gonna let me die, Spider-Man? You're like, Harry, you're not listening to reason. So is this guy. But yeah, the grandfather dies and they're at this funeral where the granddaughter gets kidnapped by, her name's Mariko too, right? Mariko, yeah. She gets kidnapped by the Yakuza, and you find out that Wolverine isn't healing right. And it's funny watching this back after Logan, and you're like, right, this is not the first time James Mangold has done this to poor Logan, where it's like,
Yeah.
oh no, he's not healing
Where
right.
he's taking away his healing.
Yeah,
And I love that. I really do. Very odd though. I think they could have gone at this different way. Nah. I was gonna suggest like that serum that like had mutants turn to normal, but then forgot that's not the goal. Anyway, yeah. So she gives him like a kiss, and then that kiss puts a bug in him.
yeah,
This is how STDs come along, kids. And it's on his heart,
yeah,
and that like suppresses his healing factor. And I really don't know how that worked, but okay.
yeah.
Anyway, now
Like-
we got a little bit of like stakes when it
Yeah.
comes to Wolverine. He's being damaged now. Man took an actual shotgun to the chest.
Yeah,
I was like, the fuck?
right? It's like this until the train scene. You're like, wow, this is one solid action scene. It's much better than what Origins ever gave us. Like,
Yeah.
especially the train scene where he's just flying on top of the bullet train, and you're like, holy shit, this is pretty intense.
I love that scene where he's just like he just bamboozles one of the Yakuza guys. He's just like, oh shit, I have to jump, and the guy does it and gets hit by like one of like the scaffolding. I was like, alright.
Yeah, and I love the scene where one of the Yakuza is trying to break in from the top to get to Mariko, and then Wolverine's like, fuck it, just flies across the train. You're like, holy shit. How are you such a straight flyer, though? Oh, who cares?
Yeah. But dude, when like the clan gets invaded by the Yakuza,
Yeah.
like that is a terrifying sight to see when Wolverine comes at you shirtless, fully cut, and then he flexes his pec a little bit as he walks towards you. I was like,
Right? I really... Seeing Hugh Jackman in this movie, I'm like, I think this is the most... Well, no pun intended, jacked he's ever been in any Wolverine movie.
I was not used to like because I watched Origins after this.
Yeah.
When I saw the scene where Hugh Jackman's like being put into the tank with
Yeah.
like the adamantium, and he wasn't that jacked
Yeah.
yet. He wasn't that jacked man. And then I see this, the Wolverine. I was like, no,
Yeah.
holy shit. By the way, I think that guy's clean too. I don't know if he used any like supplements,
Yeah.
like steroids or anything.
Yeah.
That man's just clean, fully cut.
Yeah.
He was miserable the entire time he was there. Like he felt sick. So I was like, yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense. Also, going back, I do love the scene between Hugh Jackman and Hiroyuki Sanada, because she's like, these are two of some of the best actors in Japan and in the West. Holy shit. We might never ever see this again.
Yeah, and like Hiroyuki Sanada like really stood toe to toe with like Hugh Jackman, with like Wolverine. I was like, that was a really cool scene where Hiroyuki Sanada's like double blading in it, like
Yeah.
kind of fucking up Wolverine, but Wolverine like gets the best of him, and we get a really cool shot that like looks like it's from an anime,
Yeah.
and it's Wolverine with a samurai sword stuck to his chest, and it's just the silhouette
Yeah.
with rain and lightning at the background. He just pulls it out. I was
I love that too when Hiroyuki Sanada stabs him. He's like, what are you? He's like, the Wolverine. Just cuts him up. You're like, oh fuck. I think that was the scene in the trailer when I was like, maybe I'll watch this in theaters. Maybe not, because I'm still traumatized. But yeah, Wolverine and Mariko kind of form a relationship, and you're like, it's not forced, but you're like, Wolverine's still clinging on to Jean, and Jean does come back here, and you're like, oh, he's still haunted by her ghost, which makes sense because he did end her in the last stand.
yeah. And like Mariko is, I'm not gonna lie, I really had to look it up because I was like, is this IU? IU is a Korean like singer, and she looks exactly like her. I was like, I have to go back.
Yeah, she's the
But
she's the actress who's Lex Luthor's secretary. In
Yeah,
Visions.
yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, like this was a great role for her. I really like Mariko. Like she wasn't really a full-on standout, but she really did a great job,
Yeah.
like doing her role,
Uh,
like being that character for Wolverine.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention, Yukio can see how people die. Like, she predicts how like the bear hunters will die, and then we get a major scene like which is more heavier after you see Logan, where she's like, "I've seen you die," and he's like, "How?" It's like you're holding your heart in your hand. There's a lot of blood, and then like you watch it in 2013, you're like, "That's not gonna happen to Wolverine, right?" And then after Logan, you're just like,
5 years later, I'm like, oh.
yeah. And then you're like, all right. When she says heart, she means X-23, and you're just like in the corner, be like, my day is ruined forever.
But yeah, anyway, so like, yeah, we find out that we also get another sick scene. So Logan goes to this village where like this lab is at,
Yeah.
where he's gonna fight the Silver Samurai, and
Oh,
these
I thought
ninjas
you're gonna-
were part of like.
No, I thought you were gonna talk about like him beating up Marco's husband, and he's
Oh,
like,
right.
"Give me an answer." Just tosses it out. I didn't like your answer. I'm like, oh damn. How do you know there's a pool? I didn't. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah. But yeah, the village.
Yeah. Anyway, like, so like they're at the village, and they did mention at the beginning of the movie where there's this clan of ninjas that helps out this family.
Yeah.
It's very close to this family, and they do that thing where like they start shooting arrows at him with like wires and trying to hold him back.
Yeah.
I love that scene where just like Logan's just like out in the distance and there's wires everywhere.
Actually, that is a cut up scene. Like you never get to see the full scene because it's a deleted scene. There's you can find it on YouTube. There's a full fight scene where between him being like, ah shit, they have arrows, and him being tied up. There's a scene where they're actually fighting Wolverine. Like they're hitting him with motorcycles, hitting him with everything, and he has to like light up a gas truck as a diversion to kill the ninjas and to escape. And then after he blows up the truck, that's when he's like, ah fuck, there's more of them.
Yeah, that would have been so sick. Oh, fuck.
Right? Like you can find it after to the audience watching, you can see it on YouTube after this video. But yeah, it's a pretty sick scene, and I'm like, why did you delete that? And I'm only guessing because Fox is like, this movie's too long, man. We have to cut it up.
Yeah, and this is the part where I was kind of disappointed at. So we find out that Mariko's grandfather is not actually dead. He's alive, but he's in like this silver samurai suit that's keeping him alive. And they're like, oh, we're gonna cut up. I'm not gonna lie, I hate it. If you guys hate the dentist, this is a scene that's not for you. Like where they cut up like Wolverine's claws and then they inject like these drills into it. And I'm like, eh. Anyway.
I hate how the Viper starts being all like discharging people. Like, what the fuck is that?
There was that scene where she was like, she like hissed at them, and then she gets like knocked the fuck out, and then she like falls from the catwalk.
And then he gets hit by something heavy. You're like, ha ha. But yeah, I really don't like this huge CGI fight. I'm like, why can't you just be a normal samurai? Why does it have to be in a robot suit?
It was such a missed opportunity. I was about to say this. It was such a missed opportunity because they already foreshadowed like the whole silver samurai with the armor that was beside the casket of the grandfather. You know how cool it would have been if, say, the grandfather becomes young again because of the healing factor, and then he dons on the silver samurai armor that's made out of adamantium.
Yeah.
And then you just went toe-to-toe with Wolverine while he still has his bone claws. And I was like, that shit would have been so sick. I did not want to see a whole other kind of Ironmonger, Samurai-esque bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, it would have been so sick if you just saw Wolverine go up against an actual...
Samurai?
Well, besides Hiroyuki Sanada. Because they showed us.
Yeah.
Like, it's Wolverine going toe-to-toe with, like, a samurai... more with adamantium armor.
Right?
And I was like, oh. So, and they had this whole, like, not loophole, but, like, this kind of bullshit thing that where adamantium can be heated up and then it could actually cut stuff.
Yeah. That kind of makes sense because that's Wolverine's powers now. Like, his claws can heat up, and you're like, that's pretty sick. Yeah, I would have liked to see, like, normal samurai versus Wolverine, and Wolverine having a hard time because it is adamantium versus adamantium. Like, we clearly see, like, he does struggle with adamantium in Logan versus him and younger self. But like here, you're just like, why is it, yeah, Ironmonger Samurai's edition. I honestly don't understand.
And the robot looked so ugly. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Not sorry. It just straight up looked so ugly. But yeah, Mariko like stabs him with like the cut up claws.
Yeah.
From Wolverine, and she was like, "Oh, but it's me, your grandfather." And it's like, I buried my grandfather, and then there he goes.
And then Wolverine lets go of Jean, and like he goes back with Yukio, and then that's another deleted scene when she's like, "What do you think of this outfit?" And you're like, "Wow, can't wait to see Hugh Jackman don it." Years later, in a movie that's not about him.
Like 10 years. We waited 10 years for that, by the way.
And it's not
like
even
almost or
yellow and blue. It's the yellow and brown. You're like, wow, that's sick.
Yeah, I would have preferred the yellow and brown one. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Not a fan of the yellow and blue. But yeah, like we get the suit years later in the new Deadpool movie that's coming out in July.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
it's just been one big wait. You're like, finally.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then of course the ending teases Days of Future Past because Magneto comes back and you're like, I could have sworn you were stabbed by the I'm not a mutant anymore injection. Well, how did you get your powers back? He's like, You're like, what do you mean?
Really, that's the thing that you're kind of confused about. Charles Xavier's back.
Yeah,
that's why you got obliterated by Jean's mind.
Oh right, you're like, well, how are you still alive? How do you have powers? What the fuck is happening?
Exactly. So
Even
he never explained it.
And even Logan is like, how? And Charles was like, we have a bigger fight. He's like, no, how? Explain. Everyone's frozen. Just explain it to me in one sentence, please.
Yeah. And they never explained how Wolverine got his adamantium claws back, but okay.
Right? I guess it was years between the Wolverine and the post, like the dystopian future that is Days of Future Past. Like, how bad did everything get for you to be like, I finally have my claws back?
Yeah. I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, what would you rate the Wolverine?
Besides the weird, like, continuity within the end credit scene, I really like this movie. I'm gonna give it a solid 7 out of 10. Like, it's not perfect, but it's not bad either.
Yeah.
It's above average. Like, it's still a great Wolverine story. People say that it's like, oh, it's the most boring one. I don't think so.
Yeah. And like,
I was fairly entertained.
And it's set in Japan. Like, not a lot of comic book movies are set in Japan.
Yeah, like the entire aesthetic of it was so badass. Like seeing Wolverine with a trench coat going through Japan.
Yeah.
Like, and like fighting off ninjas and samurais. I'm like, that's really cool. I wish they expanded on it more. I wish there was a bit more style than black clothing. But other than that, it's still a good movie.
Yeah, and I do like how they adapted it from the comics that are called The Wolverine, Wolverine from Frank Miller and Chris Claremont. Like, that's a story in the comics. Like, I think they did that well, and I do like how, yeah, the aesthetic is pretty great, and like the story and the way it transpires until the very end. You're like, wow, this is pretty solid. Not gonna lie, and it made me regret being like, why didn't I see this in the movie theater? Because I would have had such a good time, even though I bet the theater would be empty. Because again, people were like, not another Wolverine movie. Why? I'm more scared. What was coming out at the time? I think Man of Steel already came out. And then we had Iron Man 3, and we were still preparing for Thor 2. And we're like, maybe it's better than the first Thor. No, it's not. It's worse. So yeah, 2013 is a bit of a mix in comic book movies for me, at least. But yeah, I think this is one of the solid ones of that year. This and Man of Steel, and maybe not much else, if I'm thinking right.
I would agree. Like, this is, oddly enough, this is one of the really good X-Men movies.
Yeah. It's just a shame. I think it's underrated because it followed after this as Days of Future Past, and that movie just blew everything else out of the water. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Damn. But yeah, 7, both 7s. I think it's a good movie. if you want a cleanser from X-Men Origins at least. And then you
Yeah.
can grab your tissues for Logan after. You're like, why do I feel things James Mangold? But yeah, to the audience watching, what's a very underrated comic book movie that you guys would like to hear us talking about? We already did Dread, so what else is there? Any suggestion, co-host? No.
I got nothing on top of my head.
Maybe on a slow day we can do Kick-Ass. I like that movie, the first one at least.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I forgot we haven't done Kick.
Yeah, we might do it soon. Who knows? Since Craven the Hunter is coming up soon. But yeah, if you like our videos, please leave them a like, subscribe, and ding the bell icon to get notified of when we upload next. We're also on Spotify and TikTok. TikTok to see our best and funniest moments, and Spotify to hear us on the go. Individually, I'm Zodas Versus on TikTok and Enswolf on Letterboxd. Where can I find you?
You can find me at JohnGM_ on Instagram. It is my account. By the way, to answer that question, you know what? New Mutants. Like I heard it was a horrible movie, but I haven't seen it yet. I want to watch it. I want to shit on it. So if we have the opportunity, let's go.
Sure. Anyway, until the next one, we'll see you there. Bye, everybody.
Ciao.